Hey guys, welcome back, and this will be my second entry into my 1970s series slash run of the week. Had some great comments on the first one I did last week about the Joker series, and some of these series I know a lot of you guys, if you even if you haven't read the series or don't like it, I know most of these you're going to be aware of, and I think especially this one, at least guys who watch my channel. The one I'm going to do this week is Tower of Shadows, and I maybe cheated just a little bit because this one started in September of '69. I think it went through January of '71. Another little short-lived series, and 9 issues. But I'm just going to start firing away. I hope you guys enjoy. Here's issue number 1. I'm sure many of you have seen this one. Got the great John Romita cover, and I'm not going to go through and because there's going to be at least 3 to 4 stories in every one of these books, and I'm not going to review every story. I'll probably just give you a quick list of the artists and writers, and if there's anything of note, I'll probably throw that in. Like I say, just a great John Romita cover, and those of you that have read this book or own this book know the cover story on the interior is done by Jim Steranko. That's the great At the Stroke of Midnight story. I think Steranko pretty much did everything on that one. I think he did the script, pencils and inks, and even the colors maybe. But yeah, just a great book. This is a higher grade copy that I own. I think later on I might send this one off to be slabbed. But yeah, just a lot of, this this series is like a who's who of what I would call superstar artists from the '70s and writers too. But like I say, you got Steranko and John Romita, Don Heck, John Buscema. I think Johnny Craig did some stuff in this one. And I think John Romita did some alterations on the art, I think, throughout the book. But a really nice package, classic story by Steranko. Really nice book. Now I've got like multiples of probably like the first 6 issues, and I don't know how I accumulated those, but I was digging them out and I didn't realize that I had all these. But anyway, here's issue number 2. The Menace of the Hungry One. This is like a lower grade copy, as you can tell. Now, Tower of Shadows is one of those books that I didn't originally pick any of these up on the newsstand when they came out, because I really didn't start getting into collecting till like probably '73, and these were like a few years before my time. But when I found out there were back issue dealers, I hate on these pretty hard and heavy. But yeah, just great cover by Marie Severin and Frank Giacoia, if I'm pronouncing that right. There's actually an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation in this book, and I think Roy Thomas might have adapted it. But we got scripts in this one from Thomas, Len Wein, Gary Friedrich, and the other stories. You got Gene Colan, George Tuska, I think Marie Severin, and Barry Windsor Smith has got a story in this one. Okay, and on the inks, I think you got Dan Adkins, and maybe I can't pronounce this guy's name, John Verpoorten. He's one of the older guys at Marvel back then. But a pretty cool little book. Here's my higher grade copy. Probably a 7.0. So pretty good. Forgot to mention, this has actually got a really cool Neil Adams story in it. Neil Adams art. He's got Dan Adkins on the inks, and I love Dan Adkins inks, but not on Adams. Probably Adams' best inkers were Giordano and Tom Palmer and Adams himself. So anyway, number 2. Issue number 3. Trying to get the glare off there. great cover by Marie Severin and Frank Giacoia. No, not Frank Giacoia, Herb Trimpe. And I think Marie Severin actually did the colors on this one too. Got more scripts. The scripts are done by Alan Brodsky, Marv Wolfman, Tom Sutton, and Denny O'Neil. Pencils were done by Don Heck, Gene Colan, and Tom Sutton. Of course, you know, Tom Sutton was one of my all-time favorites. And I think the inks, it's kind of funny. Mike Esposito did the inks on one of these stories, and I don't know. I'm just assuming he did this under a different name. He did it under a name Joe Gaudioso or something like that. But I'm just assuming he did that because he might have still been working for DC at the time, because he did a lot of stuff on Metal Man and Wonder Woman and a lot of other, I think, some of the war titles. So that's the only reason I'm thinking that that's probably why he put his name as Joe Gaudioso. So anyway, another really cool package. Got some Gene Colan, George Tuska, Marie Severin art, some more Barry Windsor Smith. I think Dan Atkins did some of the inks on this too. That's issue number 3. Here's my high grade copy of that. Sorry about the glare. I got the high grades in Mylar, so anyway. Okay, issue number 4. I really like this cover. Like I say, this is my reader. I think back then I was only interested in getting the whole series. I mean, you can see it's kind of beat up on the corner, but pretty cool. This is Marie Severin and Herb Trimpe on the cover. And scripts in this one got some by Marv Wolfman and O'Neil. More Don Heck and Gene Colan and Tom Sutton on the art. Here's my higher grade copy of that. Pretty sharp grade. Couple little nicks. Here's number 5. And that's more Marie Severin on the cover. I think it's Severin and Bill Everett, and Marie did the colors. Scripts by Roy Thomas, Wally Wood, and Jerry Conway. Pencils by Barry Smith, Wally Wood, Sid Shores. And inks by Wood, Shores, and Dan Atkins. Pretty cool little cover. I think Marie Severin is really underrated. I don't know why she didn't get more acclaim, but I just love her artwork. Another high grade copy of that, or higher grade, anyway. Okay, issue number 6, and probably my favorite cover. It's another Marie Severin cover. And this issue, up until then, the first 5 issues were like all new stories at that time. And this is one where the reprints start. There's still going to be like a new story, at least one new story in every issue. And I think as the series went along, they went from, you know, all new stories to like they kind of cut them down to like I think the last couple of issues were just one new story, and the rest of them were like classic reprints. But I really love this cover, and I must have because I got 3 copies of this. Don't know why. Like I say, Marie Severin, pray for the man in the rat hole. And we got scripts in this one from Stan Lee, Wally Wood, Tom Sutton, and Steve Skeets. Pencils by Ditko, Wood, Tom Sutton, and Gene Colan. Inks by Ditko, Wood, Sutton, and Dan Atkins. And here's another copy. Got the same grade, and I think this is probably the best copy I got. I think it's got a little issue on the spine and in the corner, but otherwise looks pretty decent. Okay, these next 3 I only have 1 copy each, but here's number 7. It's got a great cover by Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko. I think actually this is a swipe from an old Tales to Astonish comic on the cover. And I think Marie Severin did some alterations on this. I think, from what I remember, a lot of the extra figures in here, I think she threw those in. So you guys can maybe check out the old Tales to Astonish. I think there's like issue 10 maybe that this was reprinted from, or the cover it was reprinted from. But Titano, the monster that time forgot. But really cool cover. More scripts by Stan Lee, Alan Brodsky, and Wally Wood. Pencils by Jack Kirby, Barry Windsor Smith, and Wally Wood. And inks by Joe Sennett, Vince Coletta, and Wally Wood. It's a cool comic. These last two I really love the covers for obvious reasons. Here's number 8. And a beautiful cover by Mr. Bernie Wrightson on this one. Very cool. More scripts in this one from Wood, Stan Lee, and Larry Lieber. More pencils by Wood, Ditko, and Heck. And inks by the same. I think we maybe had one new story in this one. I think when they started doing the reprints, that it went from the first 5 issues were all new stories. I think there was like 3 stories in those books, and I think from 6 maybe through the end of this series there were 4 stories. Of course, you know a lot of those little sci-fi and horror stories by Ditko and Kirby were always like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages. So a lot of good stuff in these. I mean, it's just a really nice complete package in these books. Okay, and the last issue of this series, number 9, another great Bernie Wrightson. This one's got a few stains on it. Looks like somebody had put some pencil or something in it. Anyway, this is a really cool Bernie Wrightson cover, and I think he has actually drawn himself and maybe one of the writers. I'm not sure who this is on the cover. But more scripts by Roy Thomas, Stan Lee, and Larry Lieber. Got a pretty cool story in here. Probably the new story, I think, is Tom Palmer on the pencils and inks. And, of course, you got more Kirby and Ditko reprints. And that's that. And I just included this one just because there was only one. And this is the King Size Tower of Shadows special. Square-bound, not square-bound book. You can already see kind of swiped a cover. This one here, it's basically just reprints from issues 1 and 2. I think, yeah, it's John Romita and Frank Giacoya on the cover again. But it reprints, I think, maybe all the stories from number 2 and maybe one from issue 1. And I think there's a Steve Ditko reprint in the back. Never can get too much Kirby or Ditko, my book. One other thing about these, a lot of these stories are reprinted, obviously, in books like Weird Wonder Tales, Giant Size Chillers, Monsters of the Movies, even like Conan and Son of Satan has got some of these stories in it. But anyway, that's all I got for this week. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know I certainly have. Just a lot of great stories and art. I know we got a lot of horror fans out there, so these are really a nice run to have. It's not too bad trying to put one of these runs together, but like I say, most of these stories are reprinted, so I'm sure you can find the stories elsewhere. So, Tower of Shadows. Alright guys, thanks for sticking with me. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and I will see you next time. Hope you're having a great week. Onward and upward.